Okay. All right, 大家好. All right, so I'm starting this sort of a lecturing section just because I don't like to show applications for a long period of time. I think it's just way too long. Nobody wants to watch it. So I try to, on my application stuff, I usually just show, to the point. And that's why most of my applications are shorter than 5 minutes, 3 minutes mostly. With that said, I don't get a lot of chance to really talk about some of the deeper meaning of what sets apart Chinese martial art from the rest of the other type of martial art. So I'm starting a whole new series in a vertical format, in a mobile phone format, so it's phone friendly, just to talk about stuff that's within our lineage of martial art concepts and terminologies and things like that. Okay, so to start off the first episode of this sort of a lecture series, this week we're going to talk about something interesting, also pretty commonly known as well, but people don't recognize it as serious enough when they practice martial art, especially when it comes to application. In traditional Chinese martial art, there are a lot of xinfa. Okay, xinfa means the method, the mental note or mental method of or mental approach of how to do things, right? So most of you guys, no matter what style you practice, you must have heard one of these xinfa, right? So in Xing Yi Quan, they would be like 打拳如亲嘴, right? When you're fighting, it's like you're kissing someone. That means that's how close you want to get to when you're fighting. Or 打拳如是火烧身. Okay, that's like when you're fighting, you have to initiate your aggression or active, like you're on fire. If someone lit your clothes on fire, you'll be jumping and try to pat out put out the fire. That's the type of franticness that you want to get your mental state to be when you're fighting. So that's kind of like xinfa. Okay, so other than that, like when we're training, like sink, your sifu would tell you to sink or tell you to expand. So those are all xinfa, like mental notes. So today we're going to talk about this xinfa called拳打阴阳两不接. Okay, so what that means is fist, literally, translation is fist will strike when yin and yang doesn't connect, right? So that's an interesting term, phrase, because yin yang, okay, I'll leave yin yang to another episode, but I won't get too deep into it. But most of you know about yin yang if you're into Chinese martial art. Everything can be explained by yin yang. So, for example, the universe can be explained by yin yang, even all the way to computer science, the zeros and ones. Zeros are yin, ones are yang. Okay, so in Chinese tradition, yin yang can basically encompass everything, right? So in Chinese martial art, it can be applied as, how do you dissect the person? Like, for example, this is yang, this is yin, okay? This is yang, all right? Then the back is yin, or palm is yin, this is yang. So everything, the fast is yang, slow is yin, right? So everything can be categorized into these two buckets. So yin yang also applies to, what's interesting is that yin yang also applies to your mind, your mental state. When you can focus on something, that's yang. When you're out of focus, that's yin. Okay, so for example, when you're ready to fight, fully engaged, all right, with another opponent, he is in a yang state, so because he's mentally very, very focused. And when he's out of focus, or he's focused on something else, not into where you're striking him, that's yin. Okay, so we see that a lot in boxing, even in NBA, in basketball, right? The fake moves, right? So in the fake move, I'm moving here, but I'm passing over there. So just to trick people's attention into one direction, but this is where I'm passing the ball. Or I'm going to do a fake, but I'm going to do this, right? So in boxing, you do that a lot, right? In sports, you see that very, very often. So that is 阴阳两不接. So when your mental state is being tricked, that you're not focusing on what matters, which is the strike is coming up. So that is where you're in. So you want to strike when there's that disconnection of states in the mental state of your opponent. And in martial art, especially in Tai Chi Chuan, okay, in Tai Chi, the whole entire system is based on this concept. It's basically trickery. It's a master art of trickery of your opponent's balance, right? You draw your energy in, you draw their force, weight, center of balance out of their comfort, sort of balanced state, and then apply a force or return the force so that they're off balance. That's why sometimes you can see some Tai Chi masters, the good ones, the real ones, not the fake ones, the real ones that can able to redirect the opponent's force into, say, this direction. But then when he's trying to balance himself, then you throw the power back on him, and then you see the guy back up, sort of 3 to 4 steps, right? So with a really effortless push, this person flew away, right? So that is basically the method of Tai Chi. Okay, that Tai Chi is a study in particularly this. In Baji Chuan, since I specialize in Baji Chuan, so in Baji Chuan we create that kind of opportunities, right? So, for example, in Baji, in Xingyi, or even Bagua, or so-called internal style, I see it in Wing Chun too, the advanced Wing Chun. When attack initiates, they attack with the top, middle, and bottom, right? So when we say 三节, right? So 上节, 中节, 下节. So you have 3 sections of your body. You all attack at once. In boxing, when you punch and you're standing there, your feet just move you around. And when you strike, it's the fist that strikes. That is not 三节. That is only the top is striking. In Xingyi, you see that the whole body move forward. Okay, the whole body move forward. The whole body move forward. In Baji Chuan as well, whole body moves forward. Bagua as well, you just walk in circle, but your whole body moves as a whole, right, when you strike. When your whole body moves as attack as a whole, what does that do? That basically creates a panic state for your opponent because there's no way to defend it, right? Should I focus on my foot? I'm being trapped. My legs are being trapped. But then there's this fist, this force, this power is coming up. Where should I block? So that is yin yang liang bu jie. So when you're creating a panic state where your opponent's focus, I don't know where to focus on, how to block it, that is when his yin yang is not connected. And that is a lot of keys to the fighting state of mind in traditional martial art. You want to create a state where the yin yang liang bu jie. In a sense that why attack with top, middle, and bottom is that we also say 用脚打人, or use your leg to attack. Right? What does that mean? That doesn't mean use kicks. It just means that for example, I always talk about take over your opponent's spot, step in, right? So by stepping in, you take over your opponent's spot, your opponent backs up. When they're too busy recouping, when they're backing up, when they're in motion, they have to recoup their balance. By that state, when they're recouping their balance, their mental is not at 100%. Or if they got trapped, so they're on the way fall, they're falling down. On their way falling down, and then you strike, that damage is exponential. It's versus someone is ready. If I'm ready here, okay, hit me here. So when you see people doing 硬气功, the hard qigong, people can resist spear, can resist knives, can even have stones being broken with hammer on top of their chest, their body. That is when their qigong is all focused on a certain state. Of course, through study, through training, they can withstand hundreds of kilos or thousands of kilos of weight or attack or force. But if you slap their face, then do a spear poke onto their body, it's not going to work. Or if you slap them first or poke on their eyes and then use a hammer to break that, piece of brick on their body, they're gonna get internal damage. So that is a state of 阴阳两不接, right? Yes. So when you're ready, you strike them. Like karate, they're always like ready. When people strike, they can withstand very strong hits. But if you have a way, for example, if you attack with the whole body, if they get tripped, they're on their way falling. Then when they're trying to, I'm falling, I'm trying to get in balance. Then you apply the strike. He is very vulnerable to that strike, and the damage will multiply. Okay, so 拳打阴阳两不接 is very important. Okay, yeah, so that is the general concept of 拳打阴阳两不接. Okay, this is a terminology that we use in BaiiShu system, but you will see a similar phrases in your system in various different styles or systems, but with the same goal. Right, you wanna strike people when they're not focusing, or you create the opportunity to do that. Okay, and it's nothing that's too mystic, right? So it's nothing like that is only Chinese martial art has this. Like I said earlier, this exists in sports. Okay, this exists in chess, right? So you want to create diversions and then you attack. In strategy, war strategy. So in a lot of ways, in Chinese martial art is a study of strategy, right? So instead of one-to-one combat, it can extend into warfare strategies, right? So or in job field, in the career, in your job, on your day-to-day sort of jobs, you can politics. You can also interpersonal relationships. You can also apply the same concept. Okay. All right, that's it. We'll talk about something else next week. I think this is fun. I can talk about this all day. All right. I'll see you guys next time.